Beast Morphers was first announced in the middle of last year, I remember thinking how beneficial it would be for Power Rangers to go back to a 3-man team series. I mean, Dino Charge and Ninja Steel both had big casts, with Dino Charge even boasting that they had the first 10-Ranger team. However, you can't deny that a few Rangers from both series were underdeveloped. With that in mind, I thought a smaller cast would help with character focus, and by extension improve the season overall. This was before the last episode, where Beast Morphers demonstrated that they can still have a large cast, and write the show in a way that makes every character important. Sure, the show does still have a 3-Ranger team, but it also adds a good chunk of side characters. But I suppose that is better than Ninja Steel, which had a bunch of side characters along with the 5-Ranger team, and still, most of their characters were underdeveloped. Regardless, with all the character building that Beast Morphers has already done, I'm curious to know how the show is going to tackle the single character-focused episodes that are commonplace in Power Rangers. Since this is the 3rd episode of Beast Morphers, I would say this is a good time to execute those episodes, but what do I know? We still haven't gotten a proper Megazord yet. Whichever direction the show decides to go, I'm sure I'll be all for it at this point, so let's look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers Episode 3, End of the Road. The episode opens with Zoe walking into Nate's lab, wanting to ask about something, but the scientist wants to show her something first. After demonstrating how Zoe's blaster and saber combine to form a Beast X cannon, the Yellow Ranger finally asks if her X-Bike is ready. Apparently between episodes, Zoe requested Nate make a Morph-X powered bike, though how the bike is powered by Morph-X confuses me, since, you know, it's a bike. The thing doesn't even morph into a souped up motorcycle when the Morph-X is added, so I really don't understand the point. Ben and Betty then come in, with Betty wanting an X-Bike of her own, but rather than give her one of the bikes that Nate just told Zoe he was preparing, the scientist instead tells Betty that he can give her parts to make her own bike. Boy, Nate, you sure are lucky that Betty wants to build the bike, because otherwise this would be a jerk thing to do. In the next scene, the reporter from episode 1 returns, broadcasting a story about the construction of a new road that's going through a forest. She adds that the reason the road is being built is to prevent traffic in the city, but before construction can commence, Zoe arrives on the scene to rescue a lizard. It's here that we find out the reporter is Zoe's mother, and no, I'm not counting this as a character introduction, because this is her second appearance. While Zoe is happy to have saved the lizard, she tells Mayor Daniels that his new road will destroy a bunch of animals' homes, and that she has another solution to the traffic problem.
This is an X-Bike. It's powered by clean, renewable Morph-X. You could pedal it for exercise, or just enjoy the ride and let the Morph-X motors zip you along.
Interesting idea, but how does this solve my traffic problem?
We could put the X-Bikes all around the city for people to use. Each person on a bike is one less car creating traffic problems. Imagine all the money the city would save if they funded my X-Bikes instead of building expensive roads.
Oh, so the bike is self-pedaling. Good to know. I still don't like that we don't get a morph sequence for the bike. After listening to Zoe's sales pitch, Mayor Daniels gives her a 1-week trial period, saying that if she can get people to ride the bikes in that time, then he'll cancel the road project. Their conversation is captured by reporter Reeves' cameraman, and when she yells cut, the mom tells Zoe that with her attitude, she can become a ranger one day. Cut to the Cyberverse, where Scruzzle apologizes to Evox because the villains don't have enough Morph-X to send out another Gigadrone. Scruzzle blames the Roxy and Blaze avatars for their lack of Morph-X, but the two show Evox the news report they somehow have access to of Zoe's conversation with the mayor. Realizing the Morph-X powered bikes will be stationed throughout the city, Blaze and Roxy plan to go around and steal as much Morph-X as they can. Back in the city, Zoe and the other Rangers aren't having any luck getting people to try the X-Bikes, with Ben and Betty drawing more eyes on their tandem X-Bike. At the X-Bike station, Blaze appears and quickly creates a monster called Needletron, who he orders to extract Morph-X from the bikes. The Rangers come face to face with the monster, ready to fight, so Needletron demonstrates his powers by blasting Ben and Betty's tandem bike, sending them into the river. The team responds by morphing into action, and during the fight, Devin and Ravi are knocked down by Needletron, leaving Zoe at the mercy of the monster and Blaze. Using her jumping, Zoe dodges an attack from Needletron before putting together her Beast X cannon, with Blaze and Needletron just standing there in confusion until she can fire the thing. With Needletron scrapped, Blaze escapes with the needle arm of the monster, but Zoe is more concerned about her X X-Bikes, since it's likely no one will come near them again after this attack. Back in the Cyberverse, Scruzzle insults Blaze for his failure, but before Blaze can combat the General's words, Roxy says that everything will be fine since they still have the needle arm. While that's going on, Zoe tries to convince Mayor Daniels to give her more time, but the mayor says she needs to figure out something before tomorrow, or he'll resume construction on the road. Seeing no other solution, Zoe, the Rangers, and Nate go about gathering up the animals in the forest so they'll be safe, but the Yellow Ranger fears they still won't have enough time. Nate tells Zoe that the team has each other's backs, saying that's the way he imagines a family to be like, causing the Yellow Ranger to ask about Nate's own family. The scientist reveals that his parents are overseas, so he doesn't get to see them that often, and while he's always wanted a sibling, he has the Rangers now. As the conversation continues, Zoe realizes that she just needs to make the X-Bikes cooler so they'll appeal to the public, which, again, wouldn't be a problem if the things morphed like I said they should. Sorry, I'm here to judge the episode's quality, not my own personal preference, so I'll stop talking about this now. The Rangers are then alerted of Blaze being spotted in the city, so they run off to deal with him while Nate and the Beastbots collect the rest of the animals. When the Rangers find Blaze, they quickly destroy the needle arm, but when the Avatar tries to morph so he can engage the Rangers, he discovers he's out of Morph-X. Thinking quickly, Blaze starts riding away on one of the X-Bikes, so the Rangers give chase in a similar fashion. As they ride through the city, the team is seen by reporter Reeves in a helicopter above, as well as many other citizens on the ground. Eventually, Blaze leads the Rangers into a warehouse where they run into his reinforcements.
So we have visitors.
Yeah, I couldn't shake him. Hey, it's Roxy?
Nice to see you too, Ravi.
That's not Roxy. That's her evil avatar.
Wait, Ravi's confused at the sight of evil Roxy? Why? He should know that she can look like his ex-girlfriend. The Rangers discover this is where the villains are storing the stolen Morph-X, but they can't do anything about it since Roxy threatens to blow the place if they make a move. Fortunately, Devin uses his speed to surprise Roxy, giving the Rangers an opening to knock the villains down, but Roxy quickly regains the upper hand. The villainess tells Blaze to take as much Morph-X as he can back to the Cyberverse, adding that she'll grab the rest once the Rangers are finished. Blaze promptly leaves with the Tronics while Roxy morphs into action, and after a commercial break, Scruzzle uses the stolen Morph-X to teleport a Gigadrone. The Rangers are alerted about said drone, so Ravi heads off to handle the bot, while the other Rangers deal with Roxy. However, the Gigadrone soon overpowers Ravi and begins draining his Morph-X, so Devin leaves to back up Blue while Zoe goes toe-to-toe with Roxy. The duel doesn't last long though, since Zoe uses some quick thinking to blow up the Morph-X, which doesn't take out evil Roxy, but does force the Avatar to retreat. Back with Ravi, the drone's drain is soon stopped by the arrival of Devin, who swiftly finishes off the monster. After the fight, Zoe is seen looking for the mayor at the construction site, wanting to show him a new X-Bike design that will hopefully make the bikes more popular. Reporter Reeves tells her daughter that Mayor Daniels is running late, with Devin adding that his dad won't change his mind because of a cool new look. Right after those words are said, the mayor arrives riding an X-Bike, showing the Rangers the news report of them riding the bikes in the city. According to reporter Reeves, the report went viral, meaning that everyone now wants an X-Bike, so the mayor cancels the road project, much to Zoe's joy. After the mayor leaves, Zoe thanks her mother for filming the report, but Reeves says that the Rangers are the ones to be thanked, so Zoe does so in a very awkward manner. The Rangers and Nate get to work bringing critters back home when Ben and Betty arrive on the scene, showing off how their X-Bike can now split into unicycles. However, it turns out Ben and Betty don't know how to ride unicycles, and the episode ends with the two comedically crashing off screen. This episode is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. In true Power Rangers fashion, this episode is the first of many character-focused episodes, and like with everything else on this show, there's a lot of care put into it. The main crux of the narrative is almost exclusively focused on Zoe and her struggle with trying to get one of her many Morph-X ideas off the ground. Further expanding on a concept that was brought up in episode 1 is a good way for Beast Morphers to jump into episodic territory, and for the most part, everything is executed well. While it may be cliché for a female ranger to want to save the environment, since Zoe has showcased a need to prove herself against all odds, it makes this aspect of her character more believable. Sure, the X-Bikes were created for the purpose of saving the forest, but the fact that she designed them makes this situation way more personal for her. Compare that to somebody like Emma from Megaforce, who only seemed to like nature so the show can push an environmental message. The primary difference between Emma and Zoe is that if Emma failed to protect the environment, she would blame the villains, whereas if Zoe failed, she would likely blame herself and spiral into depression. Seeing how this is her first focused episode, I'm just waiting for the moment when one of her ideas doesn't pan out so we can see how she deals with failure. In fact, Zoe would have failed this time around were it not for the incredible marketability of the Power Rangers. I think this is the first time that a season of the show has acknowledged in-universe that the Power Rangers make things cool. I mean, there have been fans and public appearances in the past, but nowhere has an episode used the Power Rangers to sell a product to the public. Given how many people dislike the idea of their entertainment trying to sell them something, I can see why Power Rangers hasn't done this before, but that only serves to make what happens in this episode more surprising. However, as I mentioned earlier, not everything is executed well in this episode, since we do get our first meeting between Evil Roxy and Ravi, but instead of it being cool, I'm just confused. I get what the scene is going for. Ravi, who's been visiting his comatose ex-girlfriend out of guilt, is supposed to be shocked when he suddenly sees her walking around. But Ravi should know that Evil Roxy is an avatar because he has seen Blaze walking around unmorphed and he's supposed to be in a coma also. I guess you could say that Ravi was caught off guard, but I can't tell, and to be honest, that's a bit of an issue. I am really digging everything else that's done with the villains though, with Skruzzle competing with the avatars for Evox's approval. General infighting in Power Rangers almost always leads to more compelling storytelling, so I can't wait to see where this goes. Evil Roxy being the one to cool off Blaze before things get out of hand is a good way to flesh out her character, since it demonstrates how she always tries to think with a clear head, making her a good counterpart to Blaze. The fact that both avatars need each other to survive Skruzzle's schemes is way more interesting, and I wonder what'll happen if their dynamic ever changes going forward. Overall, this episode is a good watch. The only problem that I have is that this episode isn't as dense as the past two, but that's more of a personal issue since I was expecting something with a little more meat to it. However, as filler episodes go, this is still better than most because of how it gives character development to Zoe, along with minor bits for other characters, which earns it a recommendation from me. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you.